The journey from $0 to $1 million is often a test of discipline and hard work. But the gap between where you are now and your first million isn't just about working harder, it's about working smarter. There is a thin line separating those who stay at this level and those who successfully scale to seven figures. It usually comes down to shifting your focus from active income to passive growth, and making sure you don't let taxes or hidden fees erode your progress. Let's look at how to bridge that gap and reach your first million. Once you cross the seven-figure threshold line, the mechanics of your wealth fundamentally transform. While you are building toward your first million, your savings rate is the most important factor. You can out-earn and out-save many of your mistakes. However, at $1,000, your rate of return officially becomes the dominant force. A simple 7% annual return now generates $70,000 a year, roughly the median household income, without you lifting a finger. This is the crossover point where your money begins to have a life of its own. The thin line between staying a millionaire and becoming truly wealthy is recognizing that you are no longer the primary driver of your net worth, your capital is. The next level requires a complete overhaul of your risk management strategy. When you have $100,000, a market crash is a temporary setback. When you have $1 million, a 30% correction is a $300,000 loss, which can represent years of labor. Those who move to the next level stop chasing the highest possible returns and start focusing on asymmetric risk, finding investments with significant upside but strictly limited downside. This involves diversifying into private equity, high-yield credit, or physical real estate to ensure that a downturn in the S&P 500 doesn't paralyze your financial future. You shift from getting rich to staying rich, which ironically is the fastest way to grow even further. Crossing the threshold from your first million to a position of enduring and substantial wealth requires a fundamental shift in strategy, moving beyond the habits of accumulation and into the discipline of strategic architecture. This transition is less about earning more through sheer effort and more about designing a financial system where your capital operates with maximum efficiency and minimal friction. The foundational mindset must evolve from that of a diligent saver or high-earning professional to that of a chief executive, where your primary role is capital allocation, risk management, and building durable systems. This new phase is defined by the intelligent interplay of three core principles: advanced tax strategy, the leverage of systems over personal labor, and the psychological mastery required to avoid the traps of complacency and lifestyle inflation that halt progress. Understanding and acting on these principles is what separates those who plateau from those who multiply their wealth exponentially. The most significant and often overlooked lever for wealth multiplication is a sophisticated approach to taxes, which are, without question, the single largest lifetime expense for any affluent individual. Basic planning involves deferring taxes through accounts like a 401k, but advanced asset location is about permanently reducing your tax burden by strategically placing different types of investments in the correct accounts. The core rule is to shield your high-growth, high-income assets, such as those generating ordinary income or short-term gains, within tax-advantaged shelters, while deliberately using taxable brokerage accounts for investments that benefit from lower long-term capital gains rates and allow for tax loss harvesting. In a landscape of evolving tax codes, failing to optimize for what you keep rather than what you make can result in a catastrophic drag on compounding, costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars over a decade. The wealthy understand that gross returns are a mirage. The only metric that matters is the net of tax wealth that remains to be reinvested and compounded year after year. Once you build this smarter financial structure, your biggest job changes. It's no longer about your own work hours, it's about your time and attention. Even with a lot of money, your own skill at spotting opportunities is still a huge asset. But the real breakthrough happens when you stop selling your own time and start using your money to pay for other people's time and skills. This means putting money into businesses that already have good managers, handing off day-to-day tasks to others, and hiring experts like lawyers and accountants to handle the complicated stuff. If you try to control every little thing yourself, you will stay small. Real growth happens when you create a team and a set of rules that keep things running perfectly, even when you're not there. When you have good systems and a trusted team, you free yourself up. Now you can focus only on the big, important choices. Your job becomes spotting the best new opportunities, deciding where to put your money, and building key relationships. These are the things that give you a huge return for your time and brain power. This isn't about being lazy. It's about working at a higher level where your best ideas and your capital do the heavy lifting, not your own day-to-day labor. Your finances become less like a job and more like a well-managed collection of assets and people. This is how you move from trading hours for dollars to making money from your investments and the systems you built. It transforms your financial life from an active job into a managed portfolio of assets and people, dramatically increasing your potential for wealth creation while reducing your personal operational burden. This is the essence of moving from active income to capital-based and systems-based returns. The greatest threat to this entire process is not a lack of opportunity or knowledge, but a psychological shift within yourself. The dangerous sense of arrival, the belief that you have reached enough. Upon hitting the $1 million milestone, a powerful instinct emerges to relax the discipline that got you there, often manifesting as a reduction in aggressive saving and investing, or more insidiously, a gradual increase in personal spending to reflect a new social status. This lifestyle creep is a silent killer, as it permanently raises your financial overhead and diverts crucial capital from the compounding engine that should be working for you. It locks you into a need for higher cash flow just to maintain your standard of living, making you more risk-averse and less able to seize the very opportunities that lead to the next level. Therefore, sustaining growth demands a conscious and sometimes counterintuitive psychological stance. You must diligently maintain the humility, frugality, and relentless curiosity that fueled your initial ascent, while simultaneously adopting the sophisticated tools and expansive thinking of the ultra-wealthy. This balance involves a dual discipline: the patience to let long-term, tax-optimized compounding work its magic over decades without interruption, and the aggressive clarity to pivot and reallocate capital swiftly when genuine, high-probability opportunities arise in the changing economic landscape. It is a mindset that views the first million not as a treasure to be guarded and spent, but as the essential working capital for a much larger enterprise. In the end, your first million is not a finish line to celebrate. It is the essential foundation, the necessary fuel for what comes next. It gives you the capital to play a more sophisticated game with taxes, the means to leverage other people's talent, and the security to make bold, patient decisions. Treat it as the launch pad for building something far greater. That first million should never be seen as the final goal. It is merely the entry ticket, the foundational layer of capital that provides the necessary security and resources to engage in this more advanced game. It is the fuel that allows you to optimize for taxes, to build and buy systems, and to operate from a position of strategic patience. By treating it as a launch pad, a tool for building a resilient, efficient, and growing financial architecture, you ensure that it serves as the stable base for the exponential growth that lies ahead, turning initial success into lasting generational prosperity.